Let's jump into it now. The one thing I'm amazed about the PS5 is the attention to what developers wanted. Now, most developers, or even not even, let's just scratch that for most developers, most gamers out here, we've always wanted a way to make our games perform better and perform faster in terms of loading screens and all that. And the solution, or part of the solution, has always been an improvement of how the game stores its data. And this is the first thing that the developers at Sony kind of went and looked into it by introducing an SSD, that is a solid state drive. Now, honestly, I am hands down really impressed by this, and this is the next step, because as you can see from the table above, the performance expected from this drive is just incredible. At 5 gigabytes per second, damn, that's just look at this table, look at the sync time. You know, when you're loading like 100 MB on a normal HDD, which is on a PS4, you got like 2 to 50 milliseconds of delay, but for an SSD, that is instantaneous. There's no limit to it. And why is an SSD so important? Because for game developers, it gives them freedom. That means game developers can develop more games that will require more data to be instantly sorted out, instantly synced, instantly called in, and instantly loaded. And that's just impressive. So this confirms it that the new PlayStation 5 will come with an SSD, boy, an SSD. Stay tuned for more details on that, because we're going to talk about if the SSD will be upgradable, or will there be other options to maybe downgrade it. I don't know if you'd want to downgrade it, because that's just incredibly stupid. But anyways, now I know a lot of you will be asking the question, why is there so much chatter about Sony having an SSD, or the next consoles having an SSD? Well, these are much better improvements in terms of performance. Now, for those game developers out there, you always know the biggest trouble about using a normal hard drive is how you're going to retrieve every object or every data that is stored there. Now, a little breakdown about how games work. You ever notice when you're fast traveling from one point to another, there's always a weird cut screen? Like, for example, there's an elevator that you get into, there's a long corridor that you walk through, or there's just the boring generic loading screen. Now, the reason this is done is because when you're in the loading screen, the game packs up all that data that it needed, all that data that you were using at that moment. For instance, the gaming world that you were in, that particular map that you were in, it packs it all up, compresses it, and stores it back in. And then it looks again into the memory and finds the next part of the gaming world that you're going to. It decompresses that and then loads it back in. Hence why the time between the compression and the decompression and all that happens, it takes a lot of time. Hence the loading screens. Now, with an SSD, this gives developers a lot of freedom, because now, instead of them calculating how they're going to like minimize the loading of this data, with an SSD, the loading is almost instantaneously, because it's much faster. Hence, cut skins of when you're fast traveling won't be there anymore. I don't know if you guys notice how important that means. It means that if you are loading up GTA 5, let's assume that it will load up instantly. I mean, the loading screen won't be necessary. So maybe some developers will decide to even put that loading screen just for, just because they need to slow down the entire process, I guess. So yeah, the SSD performs much better, and it's a great improvement. It's an amazing improvement, and I'm really excited about that. Another important topic, and that is backward compatibility. Now, according to Mark Sendry, he mentioned that the top 100 PS4 games at this current time will be compatible to play in the PlayStation 5. Now, we'll have to wait and see, and I'm really curious, these top 100 games, which one are they? That's what I'm really curious about. So for those who are wondering, can you pop in a PlayStation 4 disc in the new PS5? Yeah, probably you will. I mean, if it's listed, or yeah, yes, you will. That's pretty much it. So let me give you a quick recap on what we just talked about so far. So the PlayStation 5 will be coming with an SSD. These was a developer need and a developer want, and for gamers this was actually something that I also needed, because you needed a device that can store data, can retrieve data at excellent speeds and at excellent rates. Expandability. Now, can you expand that SSD? Can you get your storage to be beefed up? Yes, but Max Henry did mention that there are specific kind of SSD brands that will be capable of doing this, and at the moment most of the brands at this current time support up to 4.7 gigabytes per second, while Sony PS5 is expected to be at 5 gigabytes per second, though it is improved up to 5.5 gigabytes per second. Now, the current market brands are not yet up to par, so they would want that if you're going to get an SSD, the minimum speed has to be 5.5 gigabytes. That's what they want, because there's no need of getting a new SSD and it's slower. I mean that you have a powerful machine, why are you limiting it, why are you choking it? Anyway, so for the expandability, yes, you can install an SSD, but it will be of a specific type of brands, and it won't be immediately presentable as soon as it launches, so you'll have to give it some time. That's what Max Henry said, that you'll have to give it some time, and then when they'll be available, it will be easily upgradable, just like how you install an SSD on a PC, so no need for any technicalities there. But he did mention there is an option that you can just use a normal hard drive. You can copy all your games to a normal hard drive, and especially games for PS4, you can just copy them on your hard drive and then plug it in, and you can play it from there, or you can copy your favorite games into the SSD and play it from there. So yeah, you can expand it, you can expand the storage, and you can do much with it. So there will be a new geometry engine that will come in the PlayStation 5, and this gives developers some new features, and especially on the shader quality, the particle quality, among very other things that they can do. Now they can create a lot of level details, especially most of us really like a really well designed graphical game, something that makes you go, wow, that's beautiful. And with this geometry engine, I think that's possible. So another feature that has been added into the PlayStation 5 is ray tracing. Now, I'm not sure if it's really necessary for a console to have ray tracing, but again, I'm not really saying not to it. I mean, it's still, a lot of this is just still pretty impressive, and I'm really psyched up and I'm really stoked about the new console. So the best thing that I found was a really nice improvement is the new GPU, the RDNA. Now it comes with 36 CUs, so 36 CUs basically in transistor counts. About 32 of them are like 52, 36 of them are like 58 CUs in a PS4, which again, it's a sizable one. I mean, we're talking about a very large chipset here. But besides that, the best thing about it is that the GPU frequency will be at 2.3 gigahertz. Now what does that mean? It means that we have better performance from the GPU, and essentially by capping it at this rate, we're preventing the logic chip from coming down with any other defects or any other issues. That's basically what they're trying to prevent here from happening. They're trying to curb the problem of overheating. At the same time, with this addition, it gives us 10.3 teraflops of processing speeds, and that is still quite impressive, though it's a bit short from what the leak had suggested, because the leak had suggested the PS5 will come with a 13.3 teraflops, but at 10 it's still impressive. And the CPU is expected to be performing at 3.5 gigahertz. Now right there, I'm still impressed. Now when you have all of these components working together, that is really impressive, and I'm really stoked about that. And I think we just have to wait. I really have to wait until the PS5 comes out. I'll pop it open, see how everything looks like, and maybe by that time I'll upload a video about it. And so let's jump into the last thing on the list, and that is a new sound engine. Now this is particularly interesting because according to Mark Henry, he did talk about a lot about this, and what essentially was the best thing is that it should be coming with a specific kind of HRTFS. Now there'll be two different kinds, and you'll have to choose which one you want. This will be actually a choice that you want. Basically, this sound engine will be designed in a way to bring essentially the best type of quality. So I'm not really that much psyched up about this, but it's still something impressive that they've had to work out a specific and specially designed sound engine for the new PS5. So basically this keynote, if I can wrap it all up, was just for the developers really, so that from here on now it's just now game developers to tell us or to show us what they can do with the new console, how much can they take the new console and just create games that are beefed up to utilize it efficiently. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Unfortunately, the keynote did not showcase the actual device, the actual PS5. We didn't get a view of it. It was just a technical breakdown of some of the features that were expected in the PlayStation 5. So I hope it's been informative. I hope you've learned a few things about what is going to be expected in the new console. So as I wrap this up, you know as usual what to do. Subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below if there's anything I left out, if there was something that I need to clear up upon, and we'll see you next time. Until the next video, anyway, stay safe guys, peace.